for people in the reggae, Rastafarian type vibes. And for a long
Oh,
while, I will write. So counting a blessing is something that they are very, 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 very apt on. Like count your blessings in songs, count your blessings. Blessings, in general, is a focus point for that religion. Being aware of what you receive before asking for more.
wow.
Yeah, even just the word blessings, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Counting,
Oh, I had to mute there. Okay, cool. Am I coming through okay, guys?
Yep, yep.
All right, let's get this party started then. Hello and welcome, everyone. We are at week 19. This is our Monday Mastermind. My name is Robert Blakely. I am your host. If you feel like joining us live, feel free to do that. All you got to do is go to live.thelosttransition.com. What we do is we meet here every Monday. We have a training piece. We've got 52 weeks that we've already scaled out, so to speak. And this is week 19. We're going to be talking about the pain point principle, which is very important. If you haven't been following along, you may want to go all the way back to video number one, because the way that we have this laid out is every single week we're going to be giving a little bit of a training lesson, if you will, and we open it up for questions, takeaway, things of that nature. But we always start off with the wins from our audience, right? I love to live vicariously through you guys. I don't get to do a whole lot here in Texas. Kind of a homebody, but I love to hear when you guys have wins, especially if it comes from the trainings that we're doing, right? But ultimately, over these 52 weeks, we plan on dissecting each little piece because there's so much information that I have in my head to try to train you guys. And I can't just do it like in one day, right? 3 hours, 5 hours. Heck, we've had 3 day boot camps. We've had 5 day boot camps. And it's really just difficult to try to teach everything, right? So this is what we do. Come here every Monday, learn something new. We use that information for the following week. So that's how we roll around here. Appreciate you being here, and especially appreciate those of you that are here live with me. So let's get started. Who's got some wins that they want to share? I'm pretty excited about this week. It's Monday. It's my favorite day of the week. TGIM. Let's have some fun. Who wants to get us started?
I'm going to go ahead and go first because I know everybody's lagging.
All right. You go, girl.
So and mine was one of them was this morning when I received a call from a member and the importance of being a person who is not just I sold you a plan and I'm done with you. This member had been on board for almost 20 years, as long as I've been in the business. And just to wait, coach, you gotta tell me, active listener?
Okay.
I think that's what you call it. But
Yeah.
just listen to her complain about what didn't happen, this, that, and the other. And I three-wayed her into the law firm and explained very briefly about what the member was experiencing. And because she said, I just thought I was just going to cancel, but I have almost, 300 hours of attorney's time and da da da. And if somebody's going to, so she's got about, let's say, 60 grand invested over the
Wow.
years in case she's sued. So, which is a good thing to have. So
Sure.
anyway, walking her through the phone call, talking with the person who answered the phone, she was very happy, which turned into a very long conversation about, that she knows that she's emotional. She knows that she made the wrong decision. She didn't do this. She was impulsive. So all of the things that were really frustrating to her in the interim while paying a company $7,000 for a roof they didn't put on her house,
Wow.
that she was very she was anxious to get it done and finished, and she's very thorough. But anyway, the win is being a good customer service agent, so to speak. And so I always tell members, if you have a problem with the way the service works, call me
Sure.
and let's see if we can work that through. So by doing that, that's happened a few times where people, just recently with at least three people have talked about canceling the membership simply because they didn't understand it or they just needed a hand to hold. So to be that hand holding person, I don't mind at all. I listen,
Well,
but as it relates to what I learn in this platform, that has helped me to save sales just by being that listener. Now, I was one anyway, but there's different levels of listening that you teach. And so just being able to do that and to make, most importantly, make that person feel better about a decision they made years ago and to get them in the right headspace. That that all is the level one listening. I don't know what it is, but I know
that's
how
it.
to do it. I'll just leave it
Yeah,
like that.
that's it. I love it. I love it. Either way, congrats. I mean, there's a few things that I can talk about when it comes to this because, as you know, I've been down this road quite a few years. And for me, when it came to my experience, when it came to MCI, I think you guys have heard this before. I was a manager for an inbound call center and we were in the saves department. And what that meant that everybody that was calling in, they were irate. They wanted to cancel. They were like, F you and you screwed up my bill and all this stuff. So it was at a very early age that I was blessed as a way that I'm going to look at it, that I was able to take care of customers like that. And it's true, Rita. Like all you really have to do is let them vent, especially if they're upset. And ooh, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Because all you have to do is let them vent, let them get it off their chest, and then listen really intently. You'll be able to find out what that issue is, right? On the flip side of that, I can always solve problems, especially when it's over the phone, by those things that I've learned. And then I can turn around and do some excellent customer service work, even if it's for myself, right? One little tip that I can give you guys is whenever I have any issue with any company and I have to call in, I find the right person and I tell them what the issue is, and then I say this. I say, is that something you can help me with?
Mhm.
Simple, easy, effective, and then you'll be able to tell based off of everything else that you're learning from me if that person is going to be the person that's going to help you out or not. Because they're going to say, oh, yeah, we could certainly help you out, or they're going to give you some kind of static, or you know what I mean? That's where you
Mhm.
come into reading that person. But that's so excellent. And I'm so happy for you that you were able to do that for somebody else, right? Because then it does rewire that framing. And now she's got all those hours that are sitting there. Now she knows how she can take advantage of them. So that's awesome. I love that. Love it as one. Good job. You go, girl. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Anybody else got some wins they want to share? And hello, Jorge. Welcome, brother. Glad you made it.
I have a win.
Okay, please share.
I've been working on a web page for my coaching program with Coach Judy and myself.
Okay.
And I shared the latest version with her, and she said, this makes me want to sign up for it myself.
All
So
right.
I said,
That's
okay,
what's up.
that was a win.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
And another win, I looked at my back office for my supplement or network marketing business,
Mhm.
and I figured out how to um, get the list of all the people that are on auto ship,
Okay.
and I made a list of like 10 different things that I can nurture them with, just like you were saying, on an email sequence
Yeah,
or offering different things beyond just new products, but you know the health survey or just different things that they could take advantage of.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And a little feedback on that. Right before everybody started coming in, I was talking to Rita and Virgil. about the emails that are going out through the lost transition for today's, for Monday Mastermind. A lot of that stuff too, Dr. Lisa, right? You can end up, if you do it the right way, have it automated so that it goes out automatically. You're giving value, but even now, as I'm doing any updates, I'm keeping the members informed as well, right? Which is another cool thing. Hey, we accomplished this. Try it, check it out. But keeping your members informed, that's huge, right? I've talked about this before too. You want to make sure that if people are in your downline, that you're at least reaching out to them once a month. Could be even better, quite honestly. And all these things that we're saying right now, Rita, as well, what you brought up, it's kind of cool the way that you hear me talk about the way that the universe works because of what we're going to talk about today, being week 19, the pain point principle. There's a lot of us that we go through this point, especially if we're in network marketing. How do we get other people to actually take action, right? You guys ever wonder about that? Especially when it comes to a team environment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But thank you for sharing, Dr. Lisa. And yeah, make sure you're reaching out to your people if they're underneath you in something. I mean, at least once a month. Make sure that they feel welcome. Make sure that they know that you're there to help wherever you can. Right? That's the best way that you can retain members. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're just going to have, people cycling through and you don't want that. Thank you for sharing. Virgil, what's up, brother? Share away. Hi, Tori. Tony.
Actually, I want to start by doubling down on what you said. The exchange, the constant exchange is so much important, especially when you're working with a team. For example, we had a weekend, oddly this weekend, where I didn't see the team and we didn't speak. And that felt really odd. 2 days, because the past weeks, in the effort of establishing everything that we are working on, we were meeting and talking on a daily basis, right? So the constant exchange and maintenance uh, of the relationship go through that contact. Um, and that was actually part of the win that I was going to share, the fact that this team that is gathering around me is really pulling together and consolidating in me the idea that, well, we're going to be on this journey for a while. And I had a couple of wins this week in the sense that the studio partner that I'm working with is now strongly considering going into a label type format. And they actually handed me the position to draft and negotiate these contracts, which is a big deal for me. And to that effect, while I was in exchange with one artist that they actually are receiving currently and looking at starting with, I was also negotiating with another set of artists and their manager, all bring this in. So I had a couple of successful meetings this week, and yeah, active listening. When you're involved in these negotiations, you have to constantly be very aware of what is being said. And it's again only through these conversations that you can actually find the pain points to close the deal or move it, train it, change it in a different format. That was actually what was at the core of this exchange that I was having with this artist and their manager. They are drafting very hard contract, very complete contract, very strong contract because everybody's powered by AI. So there is a sense of there's an approach at negotiating, analyzing, and responding that has to be in par with what is what is being done. But that's very interesting, and that is becoming a modus operatus since we're looking at bringing in a steady quantity of artists to build the momentum for what should become this label. So it's very good, and it's allowing me to actually bring in and position my marketing agency since the studio does not look at marketing itself. They're really in audio and visual production. So that was a big win. Um, Even more so, I'm working through a set of meetings also in the fashion industry to further my brand, but also place certain services. And the last major win was the the program that I was showing last time was still in development. I had planned to pitch it at an upcoming event for entrepreneurs and business ventures that actually has a cash prize for it. I am working with the administration of this program, and I actually just sent my presentation for them to review and qualify it for the application, for the submission and the context. And the founder of the company called me back saying he wanted to learn more because he felt that he could represent that product with the intended hotels or in that industry. He has open doors that he thinks strongly will buy into this product. And he
Sure.
wants to have a face-to-face. So the presentation actually turned into a contract agreement. Well,
Love it.
it
That's
has to be established. So it's pretty cool. I mean, a
oh
lot
yeah.
of things are happening, forcing me to keep the course. Yeah, anyways, a lot of blessings. Like I said, I'm counting them all and keeping
That's
them in sight.
awesome, man.
Not everything is happening green, or not everything is uh, is is easy. But when you keep counting your blessing, you offset that those small advent horizon that are not necessarily the best. So yeah,
Amen. Amen,
that was
brother. Thank you for sharing that. Big word came out of all that you were saying, and that word is collaboration. Sounds like you're doing some collaborating there, brother. I highly recommend collaboration, especially if it's in direct alignment, because if you have people that know what their job is, so to speak, and you all can come in an alignment, then man, you all can benefit each other, right? As you all grow together. Like that's the best way to do it. So even better. The other thing to touch on when it comes to your members that are in your downline and connecting with them, I just call it touches, right? And that's to me an energy swap. For me, being high energy, and if you're not high energy, you got to obviously work on your energy when you're reaching out to those people that are below you. But what you say when you connect and reach out to them can make all the difference in the world between them sticking around or them deciding they're going to go some other place, right? The other thing to mention that I learned from my mentor, and you guys can certainly take it, is we like to call this the Friends for Life Club, right? So it's not just about, okay, well, I want to get a sale from somebody. I want to legitimately be friends with the people that I work with for life, right? And that communication is obviously very important. Rita and I jokingly but seriously said at the beginning of this thing, even though we've talked and we've chatted, it seems like we haven't talked to each other in ages. So communication obviously is super important, right? So make sure that you're reaching out to your downline. Thank you for sharing that, Virgil. Any other last minute wins before we jump into these slides? And hello and welcome again, Tony. Who else did I miss? Dorea and Mikey.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's happening, girl? I feel like I haven't
I
seen you in weeks.
I know I'm on the road, so but yeah, I the key word is collaboration. So you might hear from me a little bit more
Cool,
about
cool.
that. Yes.
Yeah, let me know. I'm here to help wherever I can, guys, wherever I can. And a shameless plug, the Lost Transition is being built out. If you're invited here by somebody, make sure you ask them if they've got a link. If you're invited here by me, go to thelosttransition.com. Get a free account, if nothing else. Show you guys what we're doing. My ultimate mission is to replace some of the tools that were taken from us and to help you guys get more eyeballs and more conversations going. So let me know where I can help out. Any other wins? Anybody else? No? Okay. So a couple wins on my side I'm pretty excited about. I know it's pretty trivial. I have not had a driver's license in quite some time. Uh, I'm that much closer to finally getting one. Here I thought, and there's a premise of why I'm telling you this, right? Not that it matters because people just don't particularly care unless it's happening to them. But the point that I want to make, right, is that all these years that I didn't have this driver's license, I was certain that it was for a reason that was actually not the reason that I wasn't able to get a license, right? So come to find out that there were just a few fees that I had to pay. Of course, the government's got to get their money, so I paid those fees, restrictions lifted. Should have my new glasses today, so I'm happy and excited about that. And then we go schedule the driver test. I feel kind of funny and a little bit giddish, almost like when I was in high school and I got my driver's license the first time. I'm like, all right, we're gonna get another driver's license, but we got a parallel park, so I may have to go practice a little bit because it's been a while since I did any parallel parking. But I'm excited. Those are some wins for me. Lost transition is growing. It's getting amazing. It's getting real. Got a new customer, new friend, shall we say, new member that joined. I didn't even say a word to him, so the system is already working. It's kind of neat. That's my wins. That being said, let's go ahead and dive in because we got some really important stuff to talk about always, right? And every single week, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I could bring you guys value and have you guys keep coming so that you know that every time you come, you're going to learn something new. And if you simply put all of these little things together that we're teaching you, eventually it's all going to wear off and you're going to start saying things that you didn't know that you could say, and you'll have answers that you didn't know were even there, right? So this is week 19, very important week. We're going to get into what's called the pain point principle. This is our phase three as far as the sales psychology portion of the 52 weeks that we put together. We're going to talk today about finding out what really motivates action. So, when it comes to this topic, first off, I want to just kind of preface, right? And when I say preface, I mean, look at me. Look at my actions. Look at my energy. Look at all these different things that you see when I come out and I present or I talk to you guys, right? All of this it's all been a learned discipline, if you will, right? And it's also come from learned lessons. One big lesson that I had many years ago was the two choices story. If you haven't heard that, I did a video on it over 12 years ago. And it was a cool little story about this restaurant owner named Robert and how he got shot. And he just always had a positive attitude, right? Because in life, really, you have two choices. You could go through and you could be happy, you can spread joy and cheer and make a lot of great things happen, or you could be miserable and just cause pain and desperate, right? So throughout the years, I've just learned to be a happy person, right? Military, my nickname was Happy Ass because I was always happy. I believe that your energy is very important, especially when it comes to speaking to people, especially when it comes to being in a leadership role or having teams that you're looking at building, especially in the network marketing or affiliate area, right? But as I've said before, 90 to 95% of the people that get into this industry don't even qualify. Shocking, right? But it's true. And many of them don't know how to, number one, find a client. And then when they find the client, they don't know what to say. And then when they do know what to say and they get that client, they also don't know how to keep them, right? So this comes from years of experience, team building, team growth, HR development, like you name it, I've probably been through it all. But one of the biggest things that I've learned throughout all of this is understanding what the pain point principles are and what that actually means, right? So if you've ever heard me talk before to where I say, well, yeah, let's talk about the pain, let's talk about the pain, you're gonna now, after today, kind of like understand exactly what I'm talking about and be able to use this information to, I hate to use the word advantage. And as always, all of this sales psychology stuff that I teach, as I mentioned before, I I I am enabling you to use these things for good. Okay? Don't use them for bad things. Don't use them to try to manipulate people, right? It's just not cool. And karma is real. So if you do utilize these things in a bad way, expect that karma will get you. This is very important that you understand. It's just universal law, and this is how it works. Right? We also have talked about the reason a lot of people fail is because they come to that point of desperation where they need to do something so that they can earn an income. So they're thinking about how do I get the sale? How do I get the sale? How do I get the sale? Which is more of a direct marketing tactic versus the online marketing tactic, which is how can I help somebody solve a problem, right? So there's a little bit of a different mindset that needs to happen or that you need to go through, right? But when you're talking about the pain point principle, we're going to talk about, and so you understand, like what really motivates people to move into action. And it might not be what you think it is, right? But I want to let you know that pain is what actually moves people faster. It's not for the reward of all the riches and, oh, I can make 500 a week or a month or anything like that. That's the uncomfortable truth, right? That's the truth about motivation. Is that pain itself is what's going to move people faster to whatever their goal is. And it's funny to say that because if you have pain to go to a goal and you could get there faster, well, I would think, well, why wouldn't you endure that pain? Right? This is just crazy little thought that pops up into my head. And a lot of this too comes from my military experience, right? And all the things that were built into me as a character, if you will, throughout all these years. I had learned many years ago that, you know, I would rather be proactive than reactive, even if the proactivity caused me a little bit of pain. There was another time that we learned and we taught in the direct marketing industry that there's two types of pain, right? If you've never heard this before, there's short-term pain and long-term pain, right? Your short-term pain comes from you not taking the time to learn these things. Back in the day, we would say, okay, you're either going to stay home and learn your presentation, or maybe you're going to go out with your buddies or something like that. If you're going out with your buddies, then that's a long-term pain, right? You're not taking the time to learn your presentation or learn your answers to objections or even learn let's be real, what your compensation plan is, right? Or how your product even works. But people will work twice as hard to avoid losing $100 as they will to gain $100, right? It's actually called loss aversion. You can look that up if you like. And it's one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. If you look here on the left-hand side, the pleasure motivation, we have thoughts like, oh, I want to make more money. It would be nice to have more freedom and I'd love to travel more. When it comes to the pain motivation on the right-hand side, you'll see a little bit of a difference there, right? It says, man, I can't keep living paycheck to paycheck. Or I'm missing my kids growing up. Or I'm exhausted and burning out. Anybody ever had those thoughts on the right-hand side there? I know I have. I know I have. But here's the pain principle, right? In layman's terms, pleasure creates interest. Pain creates action. Pain creates action. If you want somebody to move, help them feel the weight of whatever their current pain is and show them how you can relieve it. Remember earlier, I was talking about how you can solve problems, right? Because it's not about getting the sale, it's about solving the problem. Well, how do I solve that problem? Well, I want to literally, it's called pouring salt on the wound, right? So when you're pouring salt on the wound, what you're doing is you're getting that person to admit the pain that they have. If you can have the person admit the pain that they have, the higher the odds are of them actually taking action. But there's a certain way to do this, right? It's psychology, it's understanding how we work as humans, how we think, right? How we move. But if you use this the right way, you can literally move people into action. And and again, once you learn all these things, it can be pretty simple to move people into action. Okay. So I want to talk to you guys about surface pain versus real pain. And we've already talked and mentioned, short-term pain, long-term pain, right? And at the very beginning, too, Rita was talking about our level one listening, right? So we want to inject or use all of these things together, as I mentioned. And when you do, things become very easy. The communication is very easy. You know what people are going to say. You know exactly what to say to that person so that they can feel that pain and then move into action. But what they say is just the tip of the iceberg. This is why we talk about level one listening, right? So here's the surface pain versus the real pain when we're talking about these things. A person might say, I need more money, right? Or I don't have enough time, or I'm stressed at work. These are pretty high in the industry that I hear all the time. Oh, my job just stresses me out, right? Which is part of why we ask specific questions when we're going through the process, if you will, of finding out whether or not that person qualifies to work with you or not. But there's a real pain that's underneath that. Here's what they feel. I feel like a failure because I can't provide for my family the way I want to. I'm telling you right now, as a man, it's not always easy to admit that. But there are times and there are men that are out there, myself included, where I felt that way. It's like, holy crap, I can't get the bills done, can't get this taken care of, my family is dependent on me. That's what the real pain is, right? And I'll say this too, because it flashed in my mind this morning as I was talking about. Many people won't even slow down enough. I'll try to say this the right way here. Many people won't even slow down enough to find out what the solution to their pain is, right? That's where oh, I don't have enough time comes in, right? And a lot of that's going to come in from them thinking that, oh, God, they just want to pitch me, right? Versus having a regular conversation with somebody. But going back to the real pain and what they feel, it might be I'm scared. I'll wake up at 65 with nothing to show for my life. I know I think about that. Like I'm 56 going on 27. I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue to do this stuff, as long as I can, obviously. But there are things that people feel, the real pain deep down inside. That's what you have to get to. They might say things like, I'm exhausted pretending everything is fine when I'm drowning inside. This is huge, guys. So, so, so huge. Because nobody wants to admit that they're drowning, right? Nobody wants to admit that they're failing. I know this for a fact, right? Real pain might be I'm terrified my spouse will lose respect for me if I don't figure this out. Well, for me, that's a big one because I've literally lost loves. I've lost relationships for the love of my passion for network marketing and coaching and training people online. I've literally lost loves. And you know what that told me? It wasn't the right love, right? So, what is your job? You got to dig past the surface. This is why I'm explaining this to you in the way that I'm explaining to you, right? I want to make sure that the context around the words is understood so that you get, oh, okay, this is what he's talking about. When Rob says, pour some salt on the wound, that's what they're talking about. Okay, right? I need you to understand the language that we speak. So there's a difference, though, between that surface pain and the real pain. Now let's talk about the 8 types of pain because these are the prevalent ones that are out there in today's society. Write them down, take a snapshot, whatever you want. The beautiful part about these types of pain is that you can have what we call answers to these pains or answer to these objections because you can end up having objections to any one of these types of pain. Anytime there's pain, there could be objection, right? So if you realize and understand the pain that they're going through, you can circumvent those objections. Make sure that I'm clear in what I'm saying here. What am I saying? Means that you say things so that you like avoid those objections by answering the objections in advance by knowing what types of pain that they're going through and how to answer those objections. I know that might have been long-winded, but do you guys understand what I'm saying? Give me a 1 in the chat area or nod your head if you're live, right? So you're pulling from these pains is what I'm trying to explain to you. One of the biggest pains that's out there is the financial pain. right? Oh my God, what is the debt? Look at today's society here in the United States. Gas is up to $4 over here in Texas. $6 or $7 in California, right? People got to go to work. They got to drive. Costs a lot of money. What used to cost $40 to fill up your tank is now costing you $80. Taxes are going up. Food's going up. And guess what? I'm not the conspiracy guy, right? I'm a truther. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse before it gets better, right? So financial is going to be huge. And this is something that you need to be prepared for so that you're able to navigate the waters, so to speak, to be able to overcome any financial objections. In order for them to see past those financial objections, they need to see that you are the one that will solve their pain. Make sense? Yes? Everybody with me? They need to see that you're the one that will solve their pain. Okay? Second one is relationships, strain with spouse, missing family time, disappointment in others. I already told you, like I lost loves over this business. Virgil, go ahead, brother.
I just wanted to time in on this part. It's so important because when you're going into your funnel construction, these are the different pain that you use to drive into the action.
Yep.
So this part is so important.
Yep.
I mean,
Even when it comes down to, and that triggered another thought. Thank you for chiming in. Even when it comes down to what your sticker price is going to be. I've had this conversation. Virgil has had this conversation. I think Dorea and a couple of others that are in here have had this conversation. Like, well, what do I charge? What should I charge? What am I worth? What's my value, right? Which is kind of interesting because you have to put your information out there in such a way so that you can see what that value is and what people are willing to pay for that without any resistance, right? Quick little prime example when we're talking about the lost transition. I was thinking, okay, well, we'll start at this price and then every 25 people will raise it $10 until we get to this price. Then I started thinking, I was like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't correlate with the things that I teach and path of least resistance. So we changed it all together, made it even simpler, right? First 100 people that sign up, they start at this price, it's locked in. After that, it's this price, and that's it, right? So you have to think about those things. Financial is going to be a big pain. Relationship is a big pain. Time, right? No freedom. We already talked about, oh, I don't have enough time. And then how people will literally be so busy, wrapped up within the machine, right, that they won't slow down enough to even realize that they have a problem, right? Or maybe it's growth. This one's a huge one in this industry, right? They feel like they're not learning, career ceilings, no progress. I've had this many times when I did the few 9 to 5 jobs that I did, right? I didn't like that I could go out there and I would be working my ass off next to somebody else that wouldn't be working as hard or as good, but yet, end of the day, we still made the same amount per hour, right? That didn't make sense to me, which is why even more that I went into direct marketing to work for myself, so that I knew that my pay commensurated with my activities of what I did, right? Back on topic, growth. Next one, emotional. Maybe their job itself is giving them anxiety. They've got frustration, feeling stuck, lack of fulfillment. You've got security, fear of job loss. If you're working for yourself, the only person you got to worry about is yourself, right? Status, not where they thought they'd be. Comparison, like feeling behind. I could say for me at 56 years young, I didn't think I would live past 30. Here we are, 56, and I'm like, well, what happened from 30 to 56, right? And then last but not least is health, right? So there's these 8 pains that if you pay attention to and you're talking with the person and you're listening intently, you'll be able to sort through these pains and again help that person realize what those pains are and again show them that you're the person that will take care of those pains or help them get rid of those pains, right? Now, Here's some questions. You can write them down, take a screenshot, whatever you want. This is part of asking the pain. I know you guys have heard me talk about the questions that we ask, especially for members that are in my inner circle. Here's some questions, not the questions, but here's some questions that you can ask to find out more about their pain. Again, when you ask these questions, and make sure that you listen because it's going to tell you what you need to say. Okay. One of them could be, well, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? This is going to open the door to pain. Now, you have to understand something real quickly. I gotta throw this down. I'm not telling you to go out there and put on your Facebook page, what's the biggest problem that you're facing in your business right now? Okay? No. I've seen it and it doesn't work, right? You might find a couple of people that will be willing to expose themselves, but for the most part, and I've said this before, if you ask a question that is too open and they have to think too hard about it, odds are that they won't respond, right? So this is when you're talking to somebody personally, not putting these questions out on Facebook, just to make sure we understand each other, okay? And then you're realistically, as I mentioned before in my direct marketing days, our job is just to be able to open that door. And then when you know how to open that door, be able to plant the seed and then allow the customer to close themselves, right? So we open the door with something like, well, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? They'll tell you, well, right now, odds are there's two big ones. I am not making any money or I can't find any clients, right? Nobody joined my business. Now we want to dig deeper and say, how long has this been going on? This is what we're talking about. Now we're starting to add a little bit of salt to the wound, right? This way they're telling you, okay, well, it's been going on for X amount of time. And well, what have you tried so far? That again, a little bit more salt on the wound. Well, I've tried this, I've tried that. This way you know what they've tried and what didn't work versus what may work, right? And then we pour a little more salt on the wound, right? How has this affected other areas of your life? Like how's the love life? How's your wife? Are you guys okay? You guys fighting because you can't figure this out? Right? These are big questions for me because of the niche that I'm in, right? And they can be helpful for you too. But this is going to expand that pain awareness. And again, you're just adding a little bit more salt on the wound. What happens when you pour salt on the wound? It hurts, right? And then another question, well, so what happens if nothing changes in the next year? This is psychological because you want them to get to thinking like, oh shit, nah, I can't go another year doing the same things that I'm doing, right? And that's what happens. People get caught up in this repetitious cycle of doing nothing or not doing what they want or being subject to being in a 9 to 5 job that they absolutely hate, right? So, pro tip on any of those questions, we've talked about this before. Tell me more about that. 5 words that'll help you make more money is tell me more about that. Okay. You're doing that so that you can go even deeper. Again, this is all about conversations, guys. It's not digging a ditch. It's not any of that. It's just simply having conversations with people, filtering and sorting, finding out if they have a need for what it is that you have, and that you can actually solve their pain points or their problems, right? Okay. So there's some questions that you guys can use. Next up, it's called the magnifying technique. Okay. This is, again, diving a little bit deeper into the topic of what we're talking about, right? How to dig beneath the surface to find that real pain that we were discussing a couple of slides ago. Number one, we got to listen for the surface pain. We've already talked about this till I'm blue in the face. Level one listening, right? They say, I need to make more money. That's just the symptom. That's not the disease. That's not the root cause. Now, you want to find out what is the root cause. Well, you need to make more money. Why? Right? Well, ask, why is that important? Well, say, so I can pay off my debt. Right? That's just getting warmer. And many times, if they're looking to make more money, what do you think is for? To pay off more debt, right? Because that's what happens. We as humans, we get into debt. It causes us stress. Stress messes with our health, right? The third question we can ask, and what would that mean for you? They say I could finally stop worrying all the time, right? Now you're What you're doing is you're having them go through an emotional journey so that they can see that there's a reward at the end of that destination, right? And then four, actually tell me more about that worry. Like they might say, I feel like I'm failing my family. I can't sleep. That's the real pain. So you want to ask, if you need to, use these questions to get to that real pain is what I'm getting at, right? If somebody says to you, "Oh, I just need to make more money," don't just glaze over it is what I'm explaining to you, right? Listen, they're telling you they need to make more money. There's a reason why they're telling you that. This is where you dig. This is where you add salt to the wound. This is where you find out how long they've been dealing with that episode or whatever it is. What's going to happen if they keep doing that, right? You want them to feel that pain. I know it sounds crazy, right? But this is how it works. Now, who else is teaching you this? Huh? All right. So here's where the rubber meets the pavement, so to speak. All this stuff that we've been talking about. And now we have to bridge that pain to your solution, right? Once you find that pain, now you're the path to the relief. Get it? Okay. And this is in alignment with the normal questions we would answer or ask, excuse me. But here's a way that you can bridge the formula or bridge this, right? Use it as a formula. So I hear you, the feeling of whatever they're going through is exhausting. What if I told you there's a way to get rid of whatever that damn pain is? That's exactly what we do for people like you, right? Quick example. I hear you, the feeling of being stuck while life passes you by. That's exhausting. What if I told you there's a way to build something on the side that actually works without sacrificing your family time? That's exactly what we help people do at the Lost Transition. Like that. Like that. Huh? Right? I trust that you guys have seen what I just did here. Okay? Explaining, going deep in, not just surface level, but deep underneath to find out what those actual pains are and to pour that salt on the wound so that you can then bridge that person so that you are the solution, right? But again, I have to mention, we must use this ethically. Ethically. This information is not to manipulate people. That being said, I have to cover this because I bear the responsibility of teaching this, right? I have to cover this, almost like Jedi Master, right? Use it for good. Don't use it for bad. Manipulation means that you're creating pain that doesn't exist. Exaggerating to scare them. Oh my God, well, if that happens, would you die then? Right? You exaggerating so that you put thoughts into their head because that's what psychology is, right? Or making them feel worse without offering any help. Oh man, you're totally screwed. Wish I could help you, right? Using pain to pressure, not to serve. Again, we're here to serve, not to pressure, okay? Or maybe exploiting vulnerable people. If you're exploiting people, you're a sick, you know what, okay? And my apologies that again that I even had to go through this and even say this. I don't feel right when I have to say it. But if you work in servitude, right, you're a humble servant leader, is the phrase. You want to help them see the pain that they're avoiding. Especially if you know and you see, hey man, I've got a friend of mine that I know that he's going through this pain and I can help him solve it. You got to have that conversation. Help them see the pain that they're avoiding. How do you service? Well, speaking truthfully about whatever the consequences are. Offering genuine relief and hope. Using pain to motivate positive change. That's in essence what we want to do. want to use whatever their pain that they're going through now as positive motivation to change, right? I know you guys have heard me say this before. This is not about sales, right? It's about personal development. It's about becoming that person that people want to follow, that people want to get involved with, that people want to join because they know that they will go somewhere when they join you, right? So here's the ethical test. Ask yourself, am I helping them see something true that will improve their life? Or am I creating fear to make a sale? This is the big difference. And this is what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, great. Okay. But let's not use manipulation and cause fear to create a sale. If your solution generally helps, finding the pain is an act of service. Okay. It's not an act of manipulation. All right. So, brass tacks, people don't buy their way into pleasure, they buy their way out of pain. Say that again. People don't buy their way into pleasure, they buy their way out of pain, right? We all want to buy. Why are we buying though? If you really evaluate that, right? But help them find the pain, fill it with them, then show them, hey, this is the way out. Okay? So find the pain this week. This is your assignment. Well, among all the others that we give you, identify your pain story. Right? What pain drove you into the business that you're doing now? Write it out. Your story is your most powerful tool for connecting with others who feel the same. This ties into Rita. Tell your story, right? Rita will tell you. She knows how I tell it. Tell everybody, tell your story. We don't want the glory, just tell your story. If you tell your story the right way and you're identifying the pain, then you may resonate with other people that see that same pain and it'll be instant, like instant. Oh man, hey, I totally understand. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other a little bit more. Or as Rita had mentioned before with the lady that read her bio, was like, oh, you seem interesting. We should talk. Like we should connect, right? But identify your pain story so that you can tell your story, so that you can connect with other people that are in the same mindset as you. That's low hanging fruit, right? Then number two, practice the magnifying technique. Your next three conversation, practice asking, why is that important? And you can add to it if you need to. This might sound crazy, but why is that so important to you? Whatever works for you in your verbal dialect and the way that you communicate. I like to say a talk birdie, right? And what would that mean for you? Right? Just don't stop at the surface of what I'm saying. Try to dig a little bit. But you don't want to just say, oh, well, tell me more about that. Oh, really? Oh, tell me more about that. Oh, well, tell me more about that. Right? And then number three, map pain to solution. For the top three pains your prospects have, write out a bridge statement connecting that pain to how you provide the relief. Everybody understand what I'm asking here? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Beautiful. Just want to make sure we got everything clear. So at this point in time, feel free, open it up. Any takeaways from today? What's the biggest takeaway? What pain will you help someone uncover this week? Rita kind of talked to us this morning about what she did. And again, I was like surprised. It's funny how the universe works. And that conversation was here. And it just led credence to what we just talked about, right? So, any takeaways from anybody? Any input? What do you guys think? Can y'all rub some salt on the wounds?
My
And
biggest, go ahead. Go ahead, Rita.
nope, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the biggest takeaway here is really that part of active listening. Because these questions require that active listening. And also the fact that you have to get, especially when you are in the discovery or the assessment uh, period, you have to get your client to talk.
Mhm.
because sometimes I noticed that even when they think they know what is urgent, what is the pain that they want to resolve, often enough, when you take the time to better listen to them in between the lines, you will hear deeper issues.
Yeah.
And that is for me the power argument. If you talk to me about something and through the conversation, I pick apart your assumed problem and actually raise the underlying fundamental problem that creates that one, right?
Yeah.
Because often enough, we come into a meeting with an end result, but that result is the the consequences of many actions or many things that are already there in the background working against what you want to achieve. And only through active listening can you peer through the real problem and raise it. Sometimes you might shoot left. But if you really get it, it's a boom in the conversation. And even if you shoot left, the client will bring you like, yeah, you're going in the right direction, but it's actually this that when it comes to think of it, that is a problem,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's my take on it. Active listening, uh, the and that's also part of that buying atmosphere, right? If I'm not talking to you and I'm in an assessment and I'm telling you everything I feel or want to achieve or that is crowding my mind, you're not getting the data to help me. You're not getting the relationship building, right? If you can get, I'll close with this argument. People go to confess their problems to doctors or to the gurus or whatnot. And
Yep.
if you get your client in that zone, confessing all the woes, the issues that they have with the problem, the what they want to change, wow. Right?
Absolutely. And I'm really glad that you guys are learning and picking up what I'm throwing down. Like, it makes my heart happy. Rita, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, Virgil took it pretty much summed it up better than what I would have, but I would also like to add that always start with a bit of humor. So that will reduce all of the stress levels and all that kind of stuff. That's it. That's what I got.
Amen. Hey, so real quick question to you, Rita. How easy are your conversations now?
Oh my God. They are it's become second nature. And it's like when I'm listening to you and I hear the things that you say and the ease of which they're coming out. Like, I think I talked to you a few weeks ago and I'm like, you didn't sound like Coach, like you were in a different zone. But today you're back like Coach. So welcome back to maybe there was some clarity going on. I don't know, but I
Oh,
was
the
like,
one that you're talking about was this one.
yes, yes, the vision board one. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. And so, but um, no, I mean, all the things that you say in terms of having conversations with people, I don't stutter anymore. I just listen because people like to talk like I'm doing now. So,
Yeah, and it's perfect too. You want to let them talk, right? It's not just you verbalizing, "Hey, this is what you need. We're going to take care of it." You have to have that two-way conversation. You have to have that energy flowing back and forth, right? And then
absolutely.
understanding what that energy is and how you can literally on your side affect that energy, especially if it's negative, that you can change that energy like literally within an instant. So,
Yeah, and it's a conversation, not a monologue.
right, exactly, exactly, perfect. Anybody else? Yes, no? All right, cool. Well, I trust you guys got some value, of course. Virgil, I will not be there tomorrow, but join us for How To Tuesday and Wednesday with Virgil. And I want you to remember, pain moves people faster than pleasure, believe it or not, right? You might think that pleasure would motivate people to move faster, but it's not. Right? Surface pain is just a symptom. You have to dig deeper to find out what that real emotional pain is. And then once you find that emotional page, now you can bridge that pain to whatever your solution is. It's like showing them how to get from point A to point Z, right? And you're the vehicle or the person that's going to help them get there with whatever vehicle that you're using. So make sure you can join us next week, week 20. It's going to be fun as always. We're going to talk about future pacing. What does future pacing mean? Well, it's just in essence helping people see their transformation, right? And when you can show them the transformation ahead of time, again, it goes into the realm of what we've been talking about for them to see that destination. And if they can see that destination, then the odds of them joining you are a lot higher than not. So appreciate y'all being here. Toot toot, love you. Bye bye. Let's go out
Thank
there.
you.
Thanks, Coach. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I was Blankster. I was driving, so I didn't know if it was gonna be way too much in the background. But I'll talk to you later. I did have a comment
Good.
or a question, but I'll wait.
I can take your question if you want.
Well, you started the session talking about how you're super happy, you're upbeat, and different things like that, and then you segue into you know uh, people buy plane. So, the first part of my question is, well, how did you switch up? Because you're always happy to think about the pain. Because I know 2 years ago when I was working on my project, I'm always like silver lining. There's never a problem that can't be solved. So I had to go to someone negative and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you tell me how to be negative on this or how to find the pain? Because all I can see is the benefits. And they just said, DeRay, you're just way too positive. You got to figure it out. So it was great to have this here. But I was wondering, how did you get there to the point where you were able to establish the pain part but still remaining very positive?
So the best way that I can answer this is again going back to level one listening and listening to them and then going back to the things that I talk about when it comes to mirroring the customer. When it comes to my mindset as far as being happy, it's all these things that I've learned over the course of the years. And I have this faith in God. I trust that, you know, I wake up every morning and say, thank you, Lord, for another day to do with as you see fit. And I just put it in his hands, right? When it comes to being able to talk about somebody's pain, that's because of the way that I present myself and how I teach you guys. I want to put the information out there so that it piques the person's interest, right? Once I have the person's interest, now we're going to move to a conversation. When we move to the conversation, that's where we start finding out about what the pain is. Well, if they say, well, I reached out because I want to make more money because maybe it was a money motivated post, right? Or maybe it was a growth post and they reached out because they want to grow. They're tired of being miserable all the time. Or sick and tired of being sick and tired. All that is just a mind shift, right? So we can help them with a mind shift by all means, right?
Absolutely.
But for me, right, I've got to draw on my years of experience, just like you will, from the military. And then remember when you went in the military, I don't know if you felt this way or not, but when I went to boot camp and we went to the obstacle course, I looked at that obstacle course like, holy shit, how am I going to get through this? Did you?
Not as much because I was 17,
Oh, okay.
and I thought I was Superwoman, but there was a lot of stuff that I didn't even know I joined the military. So I was really a Goldie Hawn.
That's funny.
But anyway, yes, I feel you. I relate.
Well, for me, like it was when I look back at my military experience, I enjoyed it, right? It was to me, it was like being a big Boy Scout, even though I had never been a Boy Scout. But when I stepped on that, out there and looking at the obstacle course, I was like, holy crap, and how am I going to get over this wall? That's in essence where we learned the whole teamwork thing, right? And how you might look at some obstacle and be like, I'm not going to be able to get over that. But if you're around the right people, We'll help you get over that, right? So I don't know if that directly answers, but it's just taken time for me to be able to accept the fact that, hey, I've always got to be happy regardless of what's going on. Even if I have a negative situation, I'll be like, okay, well, why did that happen? There's a reason for that. And then I dig into, well, what is something positive that I can pull out of that negative, right? That's another logic and reasoning that I have, is to try to pull two positives out of any negative. If you're able to do that, then nothing's ever really negative, right? Then it's just life
Right.
circumstances that are happening to you or for you, however you want to look at it. But I
Yes.
believe that everything happens for a reason. Even this meeting, even this question, it all happens for a reason. And if we don't,
Absolutely.
then we might miss what those reasons are.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anytime. I'm here to help wherever I can, guys. Y'all have